Hi, I'm Dennis, and you're on the channel about Albania. We still live here in Albania and continue to make interesting and informative videos about this wonderful and fascinating republic. Today, we have prepared a short video about how much money you might need in order to live comfortably in Albania. Of course, everyone is different, and people's living expenses, as well as their individual needs, are different too. But I'll tell you some general points so you can use them as a reference. Well, the first thing is probably mobile service. Good mobile service with a large amount of internet traffic costs about 20 euros. 20 euros, and you'll always have internet on your smartphone. The coverage is very good. The next, and probably the biggest expense, is apartment rent. That is, of course, if you haven't bought a place and have decided to rent an apartment. Well, a good apartment, let's say around 50 square meters in size, located near the sea in a neighborhood with convenient access to shops, schools, clinics, and all the essential infrastructure you might need, will typically cost you about 350 euros per month. Of course, this is assuming, that you have a yearly contract in place and not just come in for a brief, short summer stay by the sea, perhaps just for a few weeks or a month. So 350 euros is what it will cost you to rent a one-bedroom apartment in a good location. Well, next are probably the utility expenses. This is electricity and water. This is also very individual. But let's take a figure of 50 euros per month. Electricity, water, and even home internet, which is sometimes included as well. Next, friends. Well, that's food. Yes. Here, everything varies a lot. You can eat very cheaply if you wish, enjoying simple, affordable meals, or on the contrary, you can choose to dine in elegant restaurants on delicacies such as smoked sturgeon, tender marbled beef, and large king prawns served in a rich, creamy sauce. It's all very individual. As for clothing, well, you don't need to worry about clothing in Albania because, well, it's just not customary here. And in Albania, you need very few things to feel comfortable. So perhaps we won't include clothing in these expenses. And if you rent a car, for example, if it's the resort season, like summer, then a car will cost you about 30 euros per day. Let's continue. If you have children, for example, you can of course send them to a free public school or kindergarten, or you can register or enroll them in a private kindergarten or private school, such as an educational institution of your choice. As of today, at the time of recording this video, a private kindergarten costs from 100 to 200 euros per month. A private school will be a little more expensive. Healthcare in Albania is very, very inexpensive. And perhaps we will make a separate dedicated video about this topic. So, for example, a visit to a doctor at a private clinic in the city center with a good professional doctor will cost about 30 euros. This includes the examination and consultation. So, if I were to really sum it up, it's easier for me to just say how much I spend on living in Albania. I don't live alone. I have a wonderful spouse, my wife, and 2 small children. So, with all the expenses for kindergartens, including tuition fees and supplies, regular visits to pediatricians for checkups and vaccinations, the ongoing cost of diapers and baby care products, necessary medicines for the children's health, fuel for transportation to and from school and work, and the cost of renting a large apartment located near the sea to accommodate our family comfortably, all of these expenses combined mean that my family spends a total of 1,200 euros every month. I'll repeat, that's as of today, at the time of recording this video, because unfortunately prices are rising a bit. Well, just like everywhere else in the world. But I think that's quite reasonable. So what do you get for 1,200 euros? It's an ordinary, simple, and sometimes even boring life here in our republic, near the sea. That's it. Of course, my wife and I don't go to restaurants every day. We're just an ordinary family, and sometimes we get something at a cafe, sometimes we buy things at the store, and sometimes we cook ourselves. Well, sometimes, of course, we can afford to go to a restaurant. That's it. So my figure is 1,200 euros. Of course, if you don't have two small children, no kindergartens, schools, pediatricians, and so on, then naturally your expenses will be much, much lower. I think that for one person, if you really want to, even with rent, you could manage on as little as 700 euros. Of course, that's assuming you have a yearly contract in place and aren't just coming for the summer. In my opinion, that's not much. What do you think? You can write in the comments how much you spend on living expenses in your country, including your family, gas, mobile service, and some entertainment activities. I'd be interested to know. That's all for today. Subscribe to the channel so you don't lose track of it. Give us a like. It's easy for you and it's nice for us. And write to me. Here's my number. If you want to come, settle here, buy an apartment or a house, or even just find out and learn something interesting about Albania. Wishing you the very best of luck.